Did you know that the 1970s were a golden age of dining, where extravagant restaurants offered more than just a meal? They delivered an experience. From lavish decor to innovative menus, these dining spots were the height of sophistication and allure. Yet, as trends shifted, many of these iconic establishments faded into obscurity. Join us on a journey through 20 of the most unforgettable 70s restaurants that no longer exist but still enchant our memories. Number 1. The Four Seasons Restaurant, New York City. The Four Seasons Restaurant in NYC was upscale. Imagine entering a vast room with many interesting decorations. Everything was so spectacular, it seemed like a movie. The walls were modern, and the chairs were comfortable enough to sit on for hours. The seasonal decorations made it feel unique. Before we continue, let me list some of the food available here. They didn't cook regular meals. They served delicious seasonal cuisine. You can acquire light things like fresh vegetables in summer and warm dishes in winter. They were known for making plates appear like art. As usual, the Four Seasons closed. They enjoyed it for a while, but costs rose and restaurant management got onerous. Its closure upset many because it was a unique venue. Despite its closure, it is still remembered as one of the top restaurants. Number 2. Laot Basque, New York City. Laot Basque was a fashionable New York City restaurant where people felt like they were in France. The space seemed like a fairy tale ballroom with its beautiful ornaments. Silver cutlery and rich wall finishes made everyone feel special. Great food. They made tasty French dishes that everybody liked. Imagine eating delicious chicken and fish with wizard-prepared sauces. Some believed Laot Basque had the best French meal ever. Even magnificent places have problems. The restaurant closed because few customers could pay its high costs. People were sad when it closed because its meal tasted like a fairy tale. Number 3. Trader Vic's, San Francisco. There was a place called Trader Vic's in San Francisco which felt like we were on a fun tropical island in the middle of the city. The moment you entered the place, you would find tiki themes such as wooden masks and bright lights. The food there was really special as well, I must say. They had Polynesian-inspired dishes which indicated that they prepared delicious foods from such places as Hawaii and the South Pacific. And their cocktails were like those fairy tale potions, which looked as much fun as they were. This is why people enjoyed going to Trader Vic's, because it was always an adventure of a lifetime. However, every great place needs to shut down for one reason or the other. Trader Vic's had to close down due to the fact that it became difficult to manage the expenses of the restaurant. Many people never got to experience it because it was a very enjoyable restaurant to go to. Number 4. Shraffs, New York City. New Yorkers enjoyed good American meals at Shraffs, an old-fashioned restaurant. Imagine a cozy, homey diner that looked like it belonged in an old movie. Families and friends liked visiting this unusual place. All the classic American meals were on the menu, including sandwiches and desserts. Large cakes and pies were Shraffs' specialty. It was a place to eat well and have fun. Shraffs closed because it was too expensive to run. Because it was a welcoming restaurant that made every meal a celebration, many people still remember it. Number 5. The Seagrill, New York City. The Seagrill in New York was a charming seafood restaurant recognized for its atmosphere and food. In the Central Business Center, people came for delicate shrimp and well-grilled fish. With its sophisticated atmosphere, the restaurant made one feel unique when dining there. Despite being famous, the Seagrill is no longer open. This could have been caused by customer choices, competition, or expensive operational costs. Its closure left the city without a similar dining choice. It was both a restaurant and a memory for many New York City diners. Seafood enthusiasts had to find new spots after its closure, and the city lost some of its attractiveness. Number 6. The Royal Room, Miami. The Royal Room in Miami was an opulent restaurant that was famous for its light and rich menu and the overall atmosphere of the place. It had beautiful interior decor that gave a palace-like feel to the place. The royal menu was served to the guests and every meal was like a king's feast. However, the Royal Room was forced to shut down after some time. This may have been occasioned by high costs, a shift in trends in eating habits, or a decline in the number of visitors. The loss of the restaurant was a great blow to Miami as it was one of the most glamorous dining places. It was a place where many people had their memorable moments and tasted the delicious meals of their lifetime. Its shutdown was felt in Miami as people appreciated the different feel and opulence that was offered by the Royal Room. Number 7. Maxims, New York City. French restaurant Maxims in New York City made dining out seem royal. We felt like we were in a palace with big chandeliers, red velvet curtains, and gilded furnishings. Visitors enjoyed French delights including creamy cock with wine and soft liver pudding. Unfortunately, Maxims closed. Maintaining such a big space could have been costly. Elegant restaurants are expensive to run. As dining patterns changed, less people could prefer the old environment. Maxims' closing devastated the city. Even though it was upscale, it was a place where people went to dine and have fun. It closed, leaving New York's restaurant scene without it, and customers still talk about their unique experiences. Number 8. Le Pavillon, New York City. Le Pavillon is a famous French restaurant that operated in New York City and was famous for its elegant setting and gourmet French food. The restaurant had a classy interior and offered a variety of classy meals, such as creamy lobster bisque and perfectly grilled beef Wellington. It was a place of preference for those who could afford to dine in style and in style restaurants. However, Le Pavillon, which had gained such a reputation, had to shut down at some point. This might have been occasioned by several reasons, including high operating costs, change in customer preferences, among others. Quality restaurants are usually expensive to run, since they have to meet high standards of quality, and this can be a problem if they do not attract the right number of customers. The closure of Le Pavillon restaurant was a big blow to many, especially because it offered some of the best food and atmosphere. It was a great loss to New York's fine dining restaurant, and people felt the absence of the experience of dining at the restaurant. Number 9. The Greenhouse, Chicago. The Greenhouse in Chicago was an exclusive restaurant that was designed to give the feel of the outdoors with plants all over the place. People were able to have their meals with a backdrop of green and a beautiful garden-like environment. The restaurant was established due to its ability to prepare different meals in different ways and present them in a fun way. The greenhouse had to be shut down. It may have been due to the fact that it was difficult and costly to keep so many plants. The greenery needed constant attention, and the space had to be made to look fresh all the time, which was very costly. Besides, if the restaurant did not attract a sufficient number of customers, it could have been forced to close down. When the greenhouse shut down its doors, it was a loss to those who enjoyed the unique ambiance and creative food offerings. The restaurant has been a unique place where people could come to eat not only delicious meals, but also get a wonderful view and a comfortable atmosphere. Number 10. The Captain's Table, Los Angeles. The Captain's Table in Los Angeles was an ocean liner-themed restaurant that gave the diner the impression of being on a cruise. The restaurant had beautiful maritime themes such as ship wheels and nautical maps, and was famous for its seafood and traditional meals. Alas, the same can be said for the Captain's Table, and despite the cuteness of the place, it had to shut down in the end. Operating such a themed restaurant is not cheap, and if the restaurant fails to attract enough customers, the restaurant might close down. Other factors that could have led to the changes include changes in the eating habits of people or changes in the economy. When it closed, it was a big issue to many people in Los Angeles who had always enjoyed the special ambiance of the restaurant and the tasty foods it offered. The Captain's Table remained memorable as a concept that would allow people to enjoy good food and a sense of piracy at the same time. Number 11. The Colony, Palm Beach. The Colony was a really special place in Palm Beach, Florida, where people went for dinner parties. It was glamorous and had a movie-like style that made everyone feel like they were in a movie. It was famous for providing the best American cuisine, which entailed well-grilled steaks and mouth-watering seafood. The environment was businesslike, and the people who were served at the restaurant wore decent clothes most of the time. However, the business of the Colony was ceased for some reason or other. That is why there were several reasons why this happened. I know the kind of expenses that are incurred in running a fancy restaurant like the Colony, as I have had the opportunity of observing it. It is rather costly to maintain such a clean and beautiful environment and at the same time prepare mouth-watering meals. At other times, when the restaurant is unable to attract the necessary clientele or the costs are too prohibitive, it becomes impossible to carry on with business. This was probably one of the main reasons that led to the shutdown of the colony. A lot of people even complained that they missed the restaurant as it was once a place where people went to have their special occasions and memorable dinners. Its closure was a sad moment to those who appreciated the beauty of dining that was offered by the restaurant. Number 12. The Forum of the 12 Caesars, Los Angeles. The Forum of the 12 Caesars was an odd restaurant that was situated in Los Angeles, California. It was to have large columns and great statues that would make one feel that they were eating with the emperors of Rome. The food was also luxurious, the dishes on the menu were rather wealthy, and every meal was a delight. However, the restaurant was not opened for business for eternity, but it was closed after some time. The reasons why it may have closed down may be due to high operating costs or reduced clientele. Running such a beautiful and concept-based restaurant is not an easy task, especially when one struggles to meet the costs or get enough customers. The Forum of the 12 Caesars was one of the areas that most people went to be served Roman-style foods and to take their large meals. Its closure was a dramatic change for those who got a feeling that the place provided to them as a visitor. Number 13. The Rumpus Room, New York City. The Rumpus Room was a creative and successful restaurant that was located in New York City. It was active, and this made it fun to be at the restaurant, and this was due to the high energy levels. They would go there not for the food, but for the energy that was synonymous with eating, that was deemed to be a party. The menu had many good dishes that would fit the ambiance of the restaurant very well. However, like all great things, the Rumpus Room had to close down at some point in time. The causes could be attributed to factors like the high costs of running such a busy area or the inability to change with the trend. It is not an easy task to manage an up-to-date restaurant in a big city, especially if one cannot be able to attract customers or even control the expenses. The closing down of the Rumpus Room was disappointing to the people who frequented the place because of the spookiness and great food. It was one of the preferred restaurants to go out for dinner, and many wonderful evenings were spent there, and its closure was a big loss to the dining experience in the city. Number 14. The Blackstone Chicago. The Blackstone in Chicago was like going back in time and being in a historic building. Imagine eating in a restaurant where you are served by waiters, waitresses dressed in black and white uniforms, while the restaurant is decorated with crystal chandeliers that depict the old world. This restaurant had a great atmosphere and some of the tastiest American dishes that made each dish unique. It was a place where the traditions of the bygone era intermingled with the traditions of the new world, which was the world of restaurant dining. However, the grand places also have their problems. While the Blackstone's luxurious look was chic, it had its disadvantages. It was costly. It is very expensive to maintain a site like this and at the same time serve good quality food. Sometimes, if the restaurant cannot attract enough customers or cannot control its expenses, it is likely to close down. For the Blackstone, this meant that it was high time that it closed its doors for business for the last time. While now people can only recall the beautiful dining experience, the restaurant's absence in Chicago is still palpable, as it represented a luxurious and glamorous lifestyle which is not eternal and can be lost in the blink of an eye. Number 15. La Grenouille, New York City. La Grenouille was a valuable gem in New York which enabled to try French cuisine in the Manhattan region. The restaurant was well decorated and the food was French, and people could be able to feel the French lifestyle in Paris without having to go to France. Every visit was a journey to another world of classy and sophistication in the environment. But it is not always easy to manage a restaurant of such great magnitude. Some of the costs that may be incurred in maintaining the quality and ensuring that the organization is in touch with the current fashion trends may be costly. In the same course of time, La Grenouille was able to face these problems and was compelled to close its operations. However, this restaurant was closed down, but it was considered as one of the best restaurants for fine dining and has made a lot of people have memories of the French style that was offered at the restaurant. Number 16. The Magic Pan, San Francisco. The Magic Pan in San Francisco was a whimsical wonderland dedicated to the art of crepes. Imagine walking into a restaurant where every meal felt like a fun adventure, crepes filled with all kinds of tasty surprises and a playful atmosphere that made dining feel magical. Yet even magical places can face tough times. Running a crepe-centric restaurant with such a unique vibe might have been challenging. High costs and changing trends in dining could have made it hard for the Magic Pan to keep going. When it finally closed, it was like losing a bit of enchantment from the city's food scene. The Magic Pan's legacy lives on in the memories of those who enjoyed its creative and delicious crepes, proving that even in closure, it left behind a sprinkle of culinary magic. Number 17. The Chateau Marmont, Los Angeles. The Chateau Marmont was a famous hotel located in warm and sunny Los Angeles, providing the guests with the feeling of being a movie star. This was like being in a fairy tale. This grand hotel was very beautiful and comfortable, and everything was done with much attention to detail and style. It was famous for such kinds of services where celebrities were coming, and a common person could get a meal which would make him or her feel like a celebrity. They also liked to visit and dine as well as have their meals from the restaurant and enjoy the tasty meals. Unfortunately, the Chateau Marmont had to be closed down. Some of the reasons as to why it was hard for the hotel to continue running included financial issues. A few individuals were disappointed to see it shut down because it was a very popular joint. Number 18. The Rainbow Room, New York City. The Rainbow Room in New York was a restaurant that was known as one of the best places to have a view. Consider dining in a restaurant that is located at the top of the building and the wonderful sight of the lights at night. It was a restaurant that focused on serving meals in style, and it had a very peculiar location. People started coming to the place in order to be able to have a good meal in style. However, the Rainbow Room, like any other business, had to close down at one point in time. The reasons were, among others, that times had changed, and it was hard to manage the demands of the restaurant. However, people still value the Rainbow Room because of its strategic location and good food, even though it is closed down. Number 19. The Park Avenue Cafe, New York City. The Park Avenue Cafe was a restaurant located in New York City, which was popular for good quality food. It had a very appealing and classy atmosphere, and many people loved to frequent the place. It was an American restaurant, and people enjoyed the food, especially the quality and the ambiance of the place. Sadly, the Park Avenue Cafe ceased to exist and was no longer in operation. The reasons included financial problems, a shift in eating habits that affected the cafe and could not survive any longer. Although it is no longer in existence, people still have good things to say about it as it offered good food and had a special setting. Number 20. The Delmonico's, New York City. Delmonico's restaurant in New York City has a history of 100 years. The best American cuisine and a great dining experience were its specialties in Manhattan. Some of the famous dishes were the tasty tender Delmonico steak and the creamy lobster Newburg. Celebrities were known to patronize the restaurant, and thus, the restaurant became a landmark in New York. Unfortunately, Delmonico's restaurant shut down despite its long history. Changes in eating landscape and financial matters make it difficult to address new needs. The failure of the restaurant was catastrophic, but its story continues. Delmonico's was a pioneer of American dining and made a great impact in culinary history. Delmonico's continues to influence chefs and those with passion for good food through its great dining history. As we reminisce about these once great dining spots, we hope this trip down memory lane has been enjoyable. If you like this journey into the past, hit like and subscribe for more nostalgic content.